Maybe I'll just start my thing.
Yeah.
Just as it comes back. The clerk has got everything figured out. I know I said 5 minutes. I just wanted to make sure Councillor Cates has a chance to come back, but maybe we can just start with the oh, there she is. Perfect. Okay, so earlier this evening, Council met in closed session and rose from this meeting at 5:59 p.m. During the closed session, Council was provided with an update from staff regarding a property tax matter in Ward 3. So I will now call the meeting back to order. Just before we get underway with the regular business, I wanted to make some opening remarks. Although the news from the Ukraine seems to be getting worse every day, the support from Canadians that has been directed to this nation, which is literally fighting for its life, has been substantial. Municipalities across Canada have spoken in support of the people of the Ukraine, as well as for Canadians of Ukrainian descent who live across our nation. In Middlesex Centre, I've heard about and from residents who want to help and are thinking of ways of supporting refugees and their family members in Ukraine, or who are fleeing from there. And again, the outpouring of support has been huge. You'll have heard the news reports that have told us about the supplies and the food and the clothing donations the London Ukrainian Centre was receiving, and how it overwhelmed the volunteers who were working to get these items to where things were needed. And the Government of Canada as well has pledged to match all eligible donations under $100,000 that are made by individuals in support of the Canadian Red Cross Ukrainian Humanitarian Crisis Appeal, up to a maximum of $10 million. This matching target was knocked out of the park by March 4th, well in advance of the March 24th deadline, but the donations still continue to flow in now. Other organizations like the Canada-Ukraine Foundation, Global Medic, UNICEF, as well as the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees of Canada are raising funds to help with everything from basics, including food and water, to providing medical aid and coordinating places for the refugees to go. Yesterday in the news, the provincial government told us that it's working together with employers, labor leaders, faith organizations, and community groups to stand with the people of Ukraine. The points that this news item highlighted was that Ontario's immigrant nominee program is now prioritizing Ukrainian applicants. The second career program has been expanded and is providing $28,000 per up to $28,000 for Ukrainians who want to train for a new career. Employers across the province have stepped up with about 30,000 well-paying jobs for them. The third round of the Skills Development Fund is going to be prioritizing projects that upskill and train Ukrainian arrivals for in-demand jobs. And Ontario Settlement Services are currently providing translations and support for recognizing Ukrainian education licensing and certifications. There are lots of ways to help the Ukrainians who are being displaced. I urge each and every one of you to think about what you can do and how you can help to those who've lost virtually everything and are going to need to start over. So thank you for that. Now we're going to turn to the Middlesex Centre Age-Friendly Community Action Plan, and that report is going to be presented by Scott Mares, our Director of Community Services. There he is.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate.
I think you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Nope. Leave volume, man. Leave volume up.
Oh, maybe not. There we go.
How is that, Mayor?
Oh, it's just my end. It wasn't you at all. Sorry, Scott.
No worries at all. No worries at all. So I'm here to present the age-friendly community action plan. Steve Langlois, our consultant, is out of town at the moment. He was having some issues down in the States accessing it, the Zoom link. So you get me tonight. So to deliver this presentation. So bear with me. James, will you be bringing up the presentation, or do you want me to do that?
Yep. He'll put that on for you right away, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay.
Want me to try and get it up, James, or?
One moment, please. There we go.
Perfect. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. Okay, as I mentioned, so this is we're at the end of our age-friendly community action plan process that began quite some time ago. And I know over the past few months, a number of our council members have attended the various sessions, et cetera. And Councillor Heffernan and her time on the task force. So hopefully this is just a final update for council in adopting the age-friendly community action plan tonight. So going back to the start, the project goal with this was to develop that age-friendly community action plan, and identify priorities across municipalities, specifically for those who are 55 plus or for those with disabilities. In today's environment, certainly, we want to maintain a healthy and sustainable environment for older adults and those with disabilities. And I think that's important for us to look at within our community. It's certainly a plan that we have not had here. So I think it's an important one for Middlesex Centre. So with the guidance from our project task force, so we've done a significant amount of research led by Steve Langlois and his team with Monteith Brown. We've engaged with the community to develop the plan. And as you know, this project was fully funded by the province of Ontario. So that's a good news story. So the age-friendly plan is set out to assess the local social and physical environment, utilizing the 8 dimensions under the World Health Organization, or domains, affecting those older adults 55 years old or people with disabilities. It identifies a vision, principles, actions, and strategies to support that 3 to 5 year plan. So this is not a long-term, it's not a 10-year plan. It's a short-term plan to identify a number of priorities, as you will see in the report, and provides us and other partners, those strategies over the next 3 to 5 years. Throughout the process, through our 2 public information centers, our survey, various stakeholder meetings, et cetera, and just those on the task force as well, we heard many things from residents. Certainly things that we're also started hearing a lot of in our community services master plan update is accessible, parks, sidewalks, active transportation, so more trails, bike lanes, et cetera, increased transportation options, attainable housing and supports for those who want to age in place, complete communities with convenient access to services, recreation opportunities for all ages and abilities. And this is something that we're taking really to heart within community services this year in 2022, in looking to really ramp up our program offerings within Middlesex Center. Volunteer management, support, communications, awareness, and signage, and then access to health services and support for those who are isolated. That's just a snippet of what we've heard throughout this process. So setting a vision for this plan, we are an exclusive age-friendly community that supports healthy aging, empowers independence, and promotes full participation in community life. So I think this is a good speaking point and a good vision for us to follow, and will help lead us in developing the strategies as we work through the plan. Our age-friendly principles that we've identified, respect and support for all citizens, access and inclusion for all citizens, community engagement and decision-making, livability and accountability. These are, I won't read all of these out, but these are the 8 age-friendly domains that we've worked through as part of this process. Being 8, it certainly takes a lot of time. I think what you'll see is the various strategies that have been captured within each of the domains. There's a lot to chew on there. There's a lot to set out. So I won't read those, but as we're going to go into a little bit more detail within each domain. Our action plans and strategies, these are higher level strategies, more and have been developed for each of the WHO domains that we've identified here. A number of the strategies solidify and support existing municipal policies and practices, and then others are new considerations for both us and for our partners to consider. Timelines, departmental leads, and key resources have been identified to assist with this implementation. One of the conversations we had at the task force group and through our consultation is, where are the measurements? There are the strategies and the things that identified in here. Maybe they're not specific enough, and so we've the understanding of this is a number of those strategies identified will be narrowed down into scope and become smaller, more actionable, pieces within each year of the plans as we work through that. I was just going to say a number of the strategies are beyond our, service mandate and do require some participation at other levels of government agencies, community organizations, and local businesses as well. So under the first domain, outdoor spaces and buildings, and these are just really high level, certainly a lot more in each of the domains that's captured in the report. But for outdoor spaces, consider the needs of older adults and people with disabilities when designing and developing parks and trails. So this goes back to, what type of surfacing we are using, ensuring that that each trail is meets the AODA standard in terms of slope, et cetera. Do we look at clearing in the wintertime? And if so, what areas do we identify that? So we always want to keep these items top of mind as to the design of public buildings and outdoor spaces for those accessible hubs. So I feel like we've got a good handle on this, especially with our facilities and our spaces. We present to the accessibility committee each year a number of our projects that we're working on that have an impact to AODA. So that's just, again, reminding us to make sure that's paramount when we're working through this plan. With transportation, look at creating safe options for active transportation, pedestrian and cyclists, motorized scooters. Certainly the county has their master cycling plan, so we're not looking to reinvent the wheel there. We know a lot of work's been done in that respect. Increase the range of public and private transportation options for residents. Again, might be something a bit more out of our scope, but again, as opportunities arise, we have this as a supporting recommendation or strategy that we can fall to. Improve safety for all road users. I mean, I think that's evident, but those are some of the items that are captured within the transportation domain. Housing, I know you spent all afternoon talking about the official plan and all that good stuff, but certainly support for affordable and accessible housing in close proximity to services is important. Expand the variety of housing types. So these are not new things that you haven't heard already through the official plan process. Encourage strategies to help seniors age in place. We heard that a lot throughout this plan. That was really important, I think, for this community. They're not looking to move away. But they do want some other options available to them. Social participation, increase the number of opportunities for participation in recreational, cultural, and social activities. Enhance the awareness of leisure programs, communities, activities, and special events. Again, goes back to bit to number one, and where we want to look at those recreation opportunities. As you know, we have our new staff who started this week in Sean Hanlon in our customer service recreation program assistant position. He knows going in, this is an important for our community to look at. How do we increase the number of those program offerings to this segment of the population? So we know that's an important one. Respect and inclusion, encourage and celebrate the inclusion of older adults and seniors and people with disabilities within civic activities. Increase intergenerational opportunities in the community. And we've already started talking about what can we do perhaps at the Ilderton Youth Center, which I'll be speaking to, or it's on the agenda as well tonight. How can we have those intergenerational programs and services that we might be able to provide there. Support and promote community education initiatives that address ageism and foster mutual respect and understanding. When it comes to employment, utilize the knowledge and experience of older adults and seniors. I think this, even in our advisory committee and those who play an important role in shaping, my department and providing that advice. I think there's a lot of knowledge there within the community that we want to tap into. Can we do that more on a volunteer level? That's something I think we can explore. Like I said, those who are retiring come with a wealth of knowledge and are looking to give back to the community. So we do want to tap into that. Improve access to promotion of employment opportunities for older adults and seniors throughout the community. Communication information, support equitable communication strategies that increase the engagement of older adults and seniors. Ensure that information is provided in all formats that are accessible. And we had a lot of conversation about just, those who are accessing the survey results and how is the best to get that out there, utilizing the libraries more, perhaps looking at, less digital in this realm, more paper, more, some intimate, something that people can take home and fill out. We've heard that a lot through the process. So we just want to be mindful of that as we go into our communication strategies. And then community support and health services, certainly promoting those healthy lifestyles and wellness, for older adults and seniors. Support expanded access to community health services for Middlesex Centre residents, and increase the awareness of community health services. And even it's, again, working with the upper tiers, or whether it's the county or, other agencies that, how can we support as a municipality? How can we support those organizations in meeting these goals? So I think all these different recommendation strategies really, it really puts, everyone's got skin in the game here, with a municipality and agencies. So we just want to continue to support that. So the implementation of this, mostly the Community Services Department will be the primary coordinating body of this plan. We'll work with the Community Services Advisory Committee on this. We'll look to discuss priorities. It will start, these strategies and that will provide, goals and objectives each year for the department, where we need to focus in our efforts. This plan also supports potential funding opportunities that might come up, especially we're seeing a lot of those opportunities coming up where we can tap into program equipment for older adult programs. So having this plan helps justify and support, the need there within the community. And full implementation, we'll be always looking for those community champions, as we have already. We know certainly our service clubs and BON and others who they're already champions within this plan. We'll continue to work with them and certainly at 55 plus, I can't forget Gail and her team as well. So on behalf of Steve Langlois, I know he probably could have articulated that much better than me, but I want to thank Steve for his efforts. He has, as you know, a lot of you know Steve, and he knows us really well, and he's been great to work with, him and his team at Monteith Brown. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that presentation, Scott. That is a great news story for us. So I'm going to look to Council what questions we have. We'll start with Councillor Heffernan, and I see also Deputy Mayor Brennan's hand.
Through the mayor to Scott. Yeah, it was a very good task force. Like, there was a wide range of residents from all parts of the municipality, and certainly a wide range of interests. Like pickleball seemed to be a big one, which doesn't interest me in the least, but there's certainly a contingent that is really interested in them. And then we talked about creating partnerships. For example, the volunteers hours that the high school kids have to get, if people needed yard work done or something. So we talked about kind of connecting with them, or even down at the school, I saw a sign down there at Oxbow once that said they were looking for volunteers to help through the day. And we don't have to invent the wheel on some things, like, because we can't start from scratch on everything, as Scott mentioned. Like, it's a plan in progress, but there are some partnerships that we could take advantage of, such as far as social participation goes. There's an arts center in Elsie Craig, so if people wanted to carpool something. And there's also the I think it's called the not the daycare program, but the day something like that in Elsie Craig as well, at the seniors apartments and or the nursing home, for people that just need to get out for a day. And I think this is also a help to caregivers as well. So, some of those opportunities are close by, so we don't have to invent those here. Like, we'd start from scratch for a lot, but anyway, it was a really good meetings that we had, and a lot of information.
Okay, thank you for that additional detail. Deputy Mayor, I think I saw your hand up too.
Yeah, just through you, Madam Mayor, to Scott. Was Sarah Savoy from the county accessibility committee, was she involved at all? Or if not, she'd be a good resource and maybe able to help you on some things, Scott?
Yeah, through the mayor, she was actually very instrumental through this process. So when we started off, we had Sam at the very, very onset, before we really started. But once we got going on this, Sarah was joined the task force right at the beginning, and was also part of each of these 3 stakeholder meetings as part of this. And I think, certainly we're leaning on her expertise in that realm as we develop the plan and the strategies. We leaned on her a little bit more than perhaps other task force members, just because of her capabilities. So yeah, she was great resource for us on this project.
Thank you.
Are there any other, yes, Councillor Arts, go ahead.
Through your Madam Mayor Scott, when I was reading the report, there's concerns about people trying to cross Glendon Drive and Longwoods Road. And I know the county is going to be redoing parts of Glendon Drive. I keep hammering on the same thing. It would be really nice if they could have a crosswalk that went under that road, because For a young, just crossing that, there's just too much traffic, that's all. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, I'll just close that section off, Scott. You can pass on kudos to the rest of the team and also to Steve. I think this is a really great plan, and see, maybe some of the things that we hear here are kind of obvious, but on the other hand, I'm hearing things like what we're doing is getting people the supports they need to be active and productive members in our community. It changes as you go through life, and yeah, maybe we treat everyone equally, but that isn't always enough to get everyone involved in the best way they can be, sharing their gifts and experience with the community members. So I applaud you guys. This is a really valuable plan, and I expect it'll make life more interesting and pleasant, and on so many levels for a lot of people. I think the trick will be to get everyone plugged into it, that communications piece, and making everyone aware of what's going on, and also maybe connecting people who aren't aware of others in different parts of the community who have the same interests. So it'll probably take a life of its own. It'll snowball. So I'm looking forward to hearing updates on how this evolves, and what's working and what's not, and what we can do to fix that. So thank you very much for that. If there's nothing else, then the motion before us is that report CSM 04-2022 regarding the age-friendly community plan be received, and that the age-friendly community plan action plan, set out in the appendix of this report be approved. If there's a mover, please, and a seconder. Councillor Cates, Deputy Mayor Brennan. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. Thank you again for that. Okay, now we have to move to the Court of Revision, and we need a motion, please, that Council adjourn its regular meeting in order to sit as the Court of Revision to consider the ward drain, and then subsequently, oh shoot, that's the other one, the bell drain, with Councillor Arts, Shipley, and Deputy Mayor Brennan being in the chair. Is there a mover, please? Councillor Scott, Councillor Shipley. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, then I'm going to turn this over to the Deputy Mayor as chair for that for the Courts of Revision. You're muted, Deputy.
Yeah, we'll call this Court of Revision to order. We'll ask the members if anybody has a conflict of interest in any of these. Seeing none, we'll start with the ward drain. I will ask the clerk if we received any notices of appeal or not.
Okay.
Through the chair, I can confirm that there were no notices of appeal received for this drain, nor were there any comments received from members of public. Thank you.
Thank you. I would then ask for a motion to approve the contents of this report. Someone like to move that? One of the members? Councillor Shipley, seconded by Councillor Arts. Any opposed? Seeing none, then we'll go into the bell drain, and I will again ask the clerk if they received any notification on the bell drain.
Thank you. And through the chair, I can confirm that no notices of appeal were received for the bell drain, nor were comments received from the public in regards to those appeals.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the bell drain as printed? Councillor Arts, second by, who's our other committee? Oh, Councillor Heffernan. Thank you. Don't believe there's any further business, so motion to adjourn the Court of Revision.
And
Councillor Arts, and yeah, go ahead.
Through the chair Brennan, I'll just ask for you to call for a vote on the drain itself, the approval of that.
Okay, can someone make a motion to approve the drain itself, Councillor Arts, Councillor Heffernan?
Thank you.
Nothing further, then we will a motion to adjourn the Court of Revision. Councillor Heffernan, second by Councillor Arts, all in favor? Or opposed, I should say. Seeing none, we'll go back to regular council and turn it back to Mayor DeVete.
There we go. Alrighty then. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of minutes. The motion before us is that the minutes for the for Middlesex Center Council meeting held on March 2nd, 2022 be adopted as printed. Could I have a motion, please? A mover, please, and a seconder. Councillor Cates, Councillor Scott, anyone opposed? Seeing none, then that motion is carried. Thank you. Next on the consent agenda. These are items that are listed and are typically received as one motion, though council members may request that one or more item be removed for further action. We have items 7.1 through 7.7 listed. Is there anything here anyone would like to comment on, speak to, or ask about? I don't see any hands. Okay, well, in that case, oops, we need a motion. I have messed up here. No, here it is.
Motion is right there.
Oh, it's right at the top. I am looking right at it. So the motion before us is that items 7.1 through 7.7 listed under the heading of consent agenda for March 16th, 2022 be adopted as recommended. Could I have a mover, please? Oh, Councillor Cates, you've got your hand up to move it, or do you have a question?
You keep saying through to 7.7, but I only have 7.6 on my agenda. Let me refresh in case you pop.
Oh, so 7.1 is the performance and annual summary report. 2 is Boys and Girls Club agreement. 3 is the remuneration report. 4 is budget to actual for February. 7.5 is capital budget to actual. 7.6 is structures inspection for bridges and culverts.
No structures and bridges on here.
That's been pulled off.
Oh, okay, sorry. It was listed here. The clerk indicates that that was pulled off. Okay, sorry for that. And then the final one was the Delaware. So no one's missing anything and everyone's clear on, okay. So given that list, then is there a mover and a seconder? Councillor Cates and Councillor Arts. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, then we can move to staff reports. And that was the one that we did the motion there. So we can now go to committee of adjustment. We need a motion to go into committee adjustment. The motion is that council adjourn the regular meeting at 6:38 in order to sit as the committee of adjustment under section 45 of the Planning Act as amended to consider the minor variance applications that are listed on the March 16th, 2020 council agenda. So members of the public that are participating virtually in this evening's public meetings have previously notified the municipal clerk in advance of the meeting. If anyone wishes to receive further notification of any of the minor variance applications being considered tonight, I ask that you please send an email to planning@middlesexcenter.ca requesting further notification. Please be advised that the comments expressed and written material presented are a matter of public record for full disclosure. If you have any questions on any of the applications being heard this evening, we ask that you direct those to the appropriate planner on file. Members of the public that have requested to speak will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address council and provide comments on the applications. In keeping with our procedural bylaw and our R-zone policy, I would remind all of our meeting participants to use respectful language and to uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. The procedure is going to be the same for each application, and the procedure shall be as follows. First of all, I will ask the planner to explain the purpose of the application and hearing and to present their staff report. Then the applicant or their agent will have an opportunity to speak to that application. The public who have registered will also be asked for their comments and questions. I remind you to please state your name and address so that comments can be reflected in the minutes. And then the clerk will provide any additional comments received from circulated agencies and the public not included in the planning report. Then I'll look to you to the committee to ask questions of the applicant and or staff. And then finally, we'll consider motions regarding the applications. Okay, now moving to item 9.1, which is an application for minor variance, file number A2 2022. Dan Fitzgerald is the planner who's going to give an overview of the planning report. I see you there. Hello, Dan. The floor is yours if you'd like to present your report, please.
Through the chair, thanks, Mayor DeVitt, and hello to all the members of the committee tonight. So the first application here, which is 9.1 on the agenda, is a minor variance application for a property that's located at 95 Springer Street in Kamoka. The purpose of the application is a request for minor variance, which seeks to reduce the south interior side yard setback, the minimum front yard setback, and the minimum rear yard setback. And the effect of the proposal would be to facilitate the construction of a two-story single-family home on a vacant parcel of land, which was established through consent file B2/2020. Which was formally approved by this council. I'll share with you the location map there. So this property is approximately 461 square meters in area and does maintain a frontage of 20.19 meters on Springer Street. And it is located in the Kamoka-Kilworth settlement area on the northeast side of Springer Street. Also north of the intersection at Springer and Ontario Ave in Kamoka specifically. The lands are surrounded by residential lots on all sides. They are designated settlement area in the county official plan, residential in Middlesex Center's official plan, and they are zoned an urban residential first density exception UR1-4 zone in the bylaw. Respecting the variance, the applicant is requesting a minimum interior side yard setback of 1.2 meters on the side that is represented as the south interior side yard setback, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum setback of 2 meters. They're also requesting a minimum front yard setback of 6.4 meters, whereas the bylaw requires 8 meters. And then further, the applicant is also requesting a reduction to the rear yard setback to 7.3 meters, whereas 8 meters is the typical requirement of the UR1-4 zone. Again, the effect of this proposal is to facilitate the construction of a two-story single detached dwelling on this vacant parcel of land. We did not receive any comments during the public circulation of the application. And I would note that we also did not receive any objections from agencies or internal groups. I have reviewed the proposal and I've worked with the applicant in this particular case to reduce the original request to the position I believe that can be supported in terms of a minor variance. So as indicated in the planning report, the requested minor variance limits any impact on adjacent residential properties. And I am of the opinion that it is considered minor in nature and does meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act. So as such, I am recommending that this particular minor variance be approved.
Thank you for that presentation, Dan. We have Dan Schinkelschuk, who's representing the applicant, and he's going to present on behalf of that file. Let's see.
Should be coming over shortly.
Okay. There he is.
Hello, Dan Schinkelschuk with Meltrus Construction.
Welcome, Dan. Go ahead with your presentation. Yep.
Well, as Dan Fitzgerald had mentioned, we were asked by the client to design a two-story single detached family dwelling, and with the restraints of that property, we basically crushed it down as much as we could to facilitate for that space for that family. And in doing so, we're working with Dan as well to get as close as we can, I guess, to the property lines without being too close to the property lines. So we're just here to ask for a minor variance on that.
Okay, thank you. The clerk has indicated there are no additional comments. I'm wondering, does the committee have any questions at all? We'll start with you, Councillor Cates.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I don't have a issue with this, but I just want to clear up my own confusion in my brain. So if we look at the actual drawing, the site plan, and we see the various measurements. So for example, the rear yard, it says 24 feet, 26 is required, 7 side yard, 4 required. So that means a relief of 3 feet on the side yard, as an example. When you read, Dan, when I read your report, and it says background, and then it talks about the various, side yard setback of 7 feet. But then when you look at the relief requested, it's like the numbers aren't jiving. So I was just curious about that. Like on a front yard setback, it's saying the relief requested is 5.2. According to this, wouldn't it actually just be 3 feet?
Through the chair, sorry, I'm
Oh, 5
not
feet. So we go to
seeing
the 21.
is this on page 2 of the report?
Yes. Under your chart of relief requested. So we've got on the chart, it'll say front yard setback 5.2, side yard 2.6, rear yard 2.3. So up above, is it doing the math up there? A table summarizing. The application is also requesting a front yard setback of 24 feet, whereas 26.2 feet is required. So the difference between 26.2 and 24 is 2.2, but none of the relief requested says 2.2. See what I mean?
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, I do see what I see. I mean, there may be some mistakes in the arithmetic up top.
Okay, okay.
Your paragraph.
Because so I just, it was like, what? So yeah, because and then when I look at the drawing, it's sort of a lot clearer to see, 26 required, and they're at 21 from that measurement, or 23 from that. It was just sort of doing over on the math. So on the drawing, the side yard at 7, and 7 required, and they want 4, that makes it 3. And then nowhere in the chart of relief requested is there a 3 feet. See what I mean?
Through the chair. No, I do get what you mean.
Okay.
So those numbers are based on the actual request of the applicant on their submission form.
Okay.
What I would note is the chart that's included in the report that actually shows the requested relief is what was presented by the applicant in their submission form. So, like for instance, in this case, the requirement for the front yard setback is 8 meters in the zone, and they've requested 6.4 meters in their application. So in that case, it's a reduction of 1.6. And then similarly, for the interior side yard setback, the zone requires a 3 meter setback on one side and 2 meters on the other. So in this case, they have 3 meters on the side of the north interior side yard in the property. So they're seeking a variance to the 2 meter setback requirement, which is basically the 0.8 meter difference between the two. And then for the last one, it's the requirement for the rear yard setback is 8 meters. And I believe they're requesting 7.3, which gives you the 0.7 meter difference of the relief that's required.
Thank you. I like I said, I don't have a problem, and it was much clearer on the drawing, but I just thought that the wording and the chart didn't make sense. So I just wanted to ask you about it. Thank you.
Fair enough.
Any other clarification or questions? I don't see any hands, so we do have a motion before us that minor variance application A2 2022 filed by Chris Melchers for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to establish an interior side yard setback of 1.2 meters on the south interior lot line, whereas 2 meters is required, a front yard setback of 6.4 meters where 8 meters is required, and a rear yard setback of 7.3 meters, whereas 8 meters is required for a property municipally known as 9.95 Springer Street be granted. And that the reasons for granting the minor variance application A2 2022 include the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center official plan, complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Centre's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Do I have a mover, please? And a seconder, Councillor Cates and Councillor Scott. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. And thank you for that, gentlemen. And we can now move to 9.2, which is the minor variance application filed by Kelly Rodriguez. And that is your file as well, Dan. Go ahead.
So through the chair to the committee, the purpose and effect of application for minor variance in this particular instance is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw as it relates to the maximum permissible gross floor area for an accessory building that is located in the agricultural A1 zone. So in this case, the applicant is requesting a maximum size for all accessory buildings on the land of 201.4 square meters, which is also represented as 3% lot coverage. Whereas the bylaw permits a maximum of the lesser of 165 square meters or 3% lot coverage for lots that are greater than 1.25 acres. Again, the effect of the proposal would be to facilitate the construction of an additional accessory building on the land for the stated purpose of vehicle storage, as well as the storage of personal effects, while also maintaining an existing pool house, which is on the property. I'll put the location map there. The subject property is located at 10780 Oxbow Drive. It has a frontage of approximately 54.8 meters on Oxbow and an area of 1.65 acres. So as shown on the applicant's site plan, the lands contain a single detached dwelling and a detached shed, which has been described as a pool shed. It is bordered to the east and the west by similar large rural residential lots, agricultural lands to the north, as well as a golf course to the south. It is designated agricultural area in the Middlesex County official plan, agricultural in Middlesex Center's official plan, and again, it's zoned agricultural A1 in the comprehensive zoning bylaw. So as indicated in the report, the applicant is proposing to construct a new accessory building for the stated purpose of residential storage. As proposed, the applicant is requesting a maximum size of 201.4 square meters, which in this case is represented as 3% lot coverage. This would represent a minor variance request of an additional 36.4 square meters for accessory buildings on the lands. I did not receive any comments during the circulation of the application, and no internal or external agencies submitted any concerns. So I note that the intent of the applicant is to construct an accessory building, which is located along the east interior side yard behind the main dwelling. And based on the site plan provided, staff are satisfied that the proposal does meet the intent of the four tests of the Planning Act for a minor variance. And I am recommending a minor variance subject to the conditions that I have outlined in the planning report. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, Dan. I'll note that the applicant is available for questions, that no additional comments have been received by the clerk. So now I will look to the committee. Do you have any questions of either the on the report or from the applicant? Yes, Councillor Heffernan, go ahead.
Through the mayor to Dan. So I looked at page 7 of 7, which sketched out where the house was and this new building. And it's very close in square footage. Does the dwelling still have to be larger than the other buildings? Because this, I think I measured, or I multiplied it out, and it looks like it's really close, like at 50 square feet difference. Is that an issue, or?
Through the chair to Councillor Heffernan. So that was something that I did look at through the applicant's submission. So it originally did come up in a little bit bigger. I asked them to reduce it to at least be below the size of the principal dwelling in this case. I would note that the request for the variance in this case is for 2 separate buildings. So you'll have size associated with one and then a size associated with the other one. So when you look at the site holistically from the street, the house will still certainly appear to be the principal dwelling, and the accessory buildings will still appear to remain subordinate to that dwelling. And further from that, holistically across the site, the accessory building still remains subordinate to the principal dwelling.
Okay, thanks.
It is, you are correct though, it is quite narrow between the two.
Is there anyone else? Seeing no hands, then the motion before us is that minor variance application A3 2022 filed by Kelly Rodriguez for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to establish a maximum size for all accessory buildings on the land of 201.4 square meters or 3% lot coverage, whereas the Middlesex Center comprehensive zoning bylaw permits a maximum size of the lesser of 165.0 square meters or a gross floor area or 3% lot coverage for lots larger than 5,000 square meters, which is 1.25 acres, for a property municipally known as 10780 Oxbow Drive be granted subject to the following conditions: that the owner warrants that the accessory building shall be used only for the explicit purpose of storing storage related to the residents on the lands and shall not contain a dwelling unit or home occupation or commercial or industrial use, and that the accessory building generally be located in the same location as shown on the attached site plan, and further that the reasons for approving the minor variance application A3 2022 include: the request is considered to comply with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw and official plan. The request is considered to be minor in nature, subject to the conditions listed in this report, and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Do I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Shipley and Councillor Cates. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, then that motion is carried. Thank you. And 9.3, Dan, this is your file as well. If you'd like to give an overview of that planning report, please.
Yeah, through the chair to members of the committee. So item 9.3 on the agenda is a minor variance which seeks relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw as it relates to the maximum permissible gross floor area of an accessory building, which is located in the community residential first density zone, or the CR1. The applicant is requesting a maximum size for all accessory buildings on the lands of 50.1 square meters, or in this case, 3.56% lot coverage, whereas the bylaw permits a maximum of the lesser of 50 square meters, or 3% lot coverage. And the effect of the proposal is to facilitate the construction of one additional accessory building on the lands as a detached garage. So the subject property in this case is located on the west side of York Street, north of the intersection at York and Wellington in Delaware. The property is an existing residential property with a frontage of approximately 32.19 meters on York and an area of approximately 1,408 square meters, or 0.35 acres. It is surrounded by residential development to the north, east, and south, as well as vacant institutional uses to the west. It's designated settlement area in the county official plan, residential in Middlesex Center's official plan. And again, it's zoned the community residential first density zone in the zoning bylaw. So as noted, the applicant is seeking relief from the bylaw as it relates to the maximum permissible size for an accessory building on the lands. During circulation of the public notice, staff did receive comments, did not receive comments from the public noting any objections to the size. However, as noted in the report, I did receive comments from internal staff and departments which would be addressed as part of the building permit. And that was just effectively ensuring that any roof leaders from the proposed accessory building be directed away from any property lines with adjacent neighboring properties. With that said, staff have reviewed the proposal against the Planning Act tests, as noted in the report. I am generally of the opinion that the minor variance is capable of meeting the aforementioned Planning Act tests, and that the structure appears to be residential in nature. For the reasons as noted in the report, I am recommending that this minor variance be approved. Thank you.
And thank you for that report then. I'll note that the applicant has registered to speak and that no comments have been received by the clerk. I'll look to the committee for questions.
The applicant has registered to speak. We're going to bring them over now.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The applicant would like to speak before we move on.
Hi there. We were just here to listen in. We didn't really have any comments to add, which I indicated in the email that I had sent in. And just wanted to thank Dan for his presentation there. Thank you.
Very good.
Great. Okay, so is there anyone who has any questions of the applicant or Dan? Yes, Councillor Cates, please.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Dan or the residents. I'm just curious. It looks like it's a metal building that you're putting there, but so there won't be a driveway from York Street onto there?
No, there will be no driveway.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I don't see any hands, so we do have a recommendation and motion before us. And that is that minor variance application A4 2022 filed by Maria and Rodney Park for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to establish a maximum size of 50.1 square meters or 3.56% lot coverage for all accessory buildings, whereas the Middlesex Center comprehensive zoning bylaw permits a maximum size of the lesser of 50 meters squared of gross floor area or 3% lot coverage for a property municipally known as 23 York Street be granted, and that the reason for granting the minor variance application A4 2022 include the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan and the comprehensive zoning bylaw, and the request is minor in nature, and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Is there a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Scott, Councillor Arts, anyone opposed? Seeing none, then that is carried. Congratulations, enjoy your new building. Okay, now moving on to public meetings. So now we have to have a motion, please, that the Committee of Adjustment reconvene as council to move into public planning meetings at 7:03 p.m. pursuant to the Planning Act as amended to consider the planning applications that are listed on the March 16, 2022 council agenda. Again, members of the public that wish to, let me just get a mover and a seconder before I go into the next part. Councillor Scott, thank you. And Councillor Heffernan, is anyone opposed? And that's carried then, thank you. So again, the members of the public that wish to receive further notification on any of the applications that are being considered tonight, I ask that you please send an email to planning@middlesexcenter.ca and request further notification. Please be advised that the comments expressed and written materials presented are a matter of public record. Those who have requested to speak will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address council and provide comments on the applications. And in keeping with our procedural bylaw and our R-zone policy, I remind all that our meeting participants should use respectful language and uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. The proceedings are the same as in the prior procedures. So I'll ask the planner to outline and explain the purpose of the application and hearing to present the staff report. And then the applicant or their agent will be speaking to the application. The public will be asked for their comments and questions. And again, I remind you to state your name and address so that the comments can be reflected in the minutes. And then I'll ask council for questions of the applicant and or staff. And then we will consider motions regarding the applications. So the first item is for a zoning bylaw amendment for 156759 Mile Road, filed by Maria Gloria Costello and Robert Costello. And Marion, our planner, will be providing an overview of the report. There you are. Hello, Marion.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening to the council.
Okay, the floor is yours, and you can present.
Okay, thank you. Through you to council, the municipality did receive a zoning bylaw amendment application for a temporary use zone for the lands known as 15675 9 Mile Road. The purpose of my report is to make a recommendation to council based on the requested rezoning to permit the construction of a new single detached dwelling while living in the existing single detached dwelling on the property. The temporary use zone would apply for a maximum period of 3 years, and upon expiration or completion of the new dwelling, the existing residents would need to be removed from the property. So the lands are located on the south side of 9 Mile Road and west of Clark Road. The land is approximately 1.2 acres in area and currently contains a single detached dwelling as well as a barn on the property, and is completely surrounded by agricultural lands. The property has private services for the existing house. However, the applicant has indicated that new services would be installed with the construction of the new dwelling. The requested application is generally consistent with the policies of the PPS, County Official Plan, and Middlesex Center Official Plan as it relates to permitting a single family dwelling on agricultural lands. The application was circulated to area residents, agencies, and staff. To date, we have not received any correspondence from area residents or agencies at the time of writing this report or even leading up to the public meeting. However, Public Works and Engineering have requested that the applicant submit a deposit of $10,000 and enter into an agreement with the municipality to ensure the removal of that existing residence promptly once occupancy is provided for the new residents. As such, planning staff determined that the requested zoning bylaw amendment for the temporary use zone is appropriate for a period of up to 3 years. It's consistent with all applicable policies, including the Middlesex Center Official Plan. As such, staff recommend that the application be approved and that the owner enter into a temporary use agreement with the municipality and require the removal of the existing dwelling, and also submit a $10,000 deposit to the municipality. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the report then. The applicant has not registered to speak, and so we can now look to any members of the public who'd like to speak. If you are on the call, then you can raise your hand feature. Use the raise hand feature, and we can look to those now. Okay, we're confirmed we can move forward. I will look now to council. Are there questions on this application? Seeing none, then we have a motion before us that the zoning bylaw amendment for temporary use zone filed by Maria Gloria Costello and Robert Carrerio Costello to permit 2 single detached dwellings on one property for up to 3 years to allow a new residence to be constructed on the land known as 15675 9 Mile Road be approved, and that the owner be required to enter into a temporary use agreement with the municipality and submit a deposit of $10,000 to ensure the removal of the existing residence. Is there a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Shipley, Councillor Scott. Is anyone opposed? I don't see any, so that motion is carried. Thank you for that, Marion. And now we will move to consent application B18-2022 for 13562 15 Mile Road. And this is Dan's file again. If you'd like to give an overview of the report, please.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. So the purpose and effect of the application for consent is to sever a parcel of land for a lot addition purpose, having an area of approximately 1.42 hectares from 13562 15 Mile Road and add it to 13430 15 Mile Road. And also it's to sever and convey as a lot addition a 0.375 hectare portion of land from 13430 15 Mile Road to be merged with the abutting land, which is municipally known as 13562 15 Mile Road. And the effect of the proposal is to facilitate the reconstruction and modernization of an existing livestock building which are located between the two subject properties. Share my screen there. So the subject properties are located on the north side of 15 Mile Road, on the northeast side of the intersection at 15 Mile and Hyde Park Road. The lands at 13562 15 Mile contain a single detached dwelling and associated detached farm buildings, as well as 2 livestock buildings. And on the plan you can see here, these are represented by the 2 livestock buildings that are located within the area identified as the yellow box location map. The lands at 13430 15 Mile Road contain an agricultural storage building, as well as poultry livestock buildings. Both of these parcels are privately serviced and are surrounded by agricultural lands in general. The subject lands are designated agricultural within the Middlesex Center official plan, and they are both zoned agricultural A1 in the comprehensive zoning bylaw. So as noted in the purpose and effect, the applicant is requesting a minor boundary adjustment between the 2 parcels or a swap of portions of lands from either property in order to facilitate the reconstruction of the existing livestock buildings and modernizing them into longer 1-story buildings, which are based on current conventional practices through the Ontario board, I believe. So as you can see on this location map, the area that's kind of shown in yellow is requested to be transferred to the land, the adjacent lands at 13430. And then also the lands that are shown in the green box, which are currently part of 13430, are requested to be transferred to the adjacent neighboring parcel at 13562. And the real purpose here is that the existing landowner would like to construct new modernized barns, which are basically double the length of the current barns on the lands, which would then necessitate crossing a property boundary. So in this case, they're requesting to move that property boundary so they can still construct the barn to the new modernized standard. So based on the requested areas of the land swap, the resulting lot sizes for the 2 agricultural parcels would be approximately 42.2 hectares for the lands at 13430, and approximately an area of 43.7 hectares for the lot municipally known as 13561 15 Mile Road. So as such, they would still comply with the minimum lot size requirements of the agricultural zones. So as noted in the report, the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement, and it does meet the general intent of the county official plan as well as your local official plan, as the minor boundary adjustment is really in this case for a technical reason to accommodate the reconstruction of existing land. The lands are currently and will continue to be used for agricultural purposes. The adjustment does not adversely impact the agricultural activities on the properties. Rather, it does facilitate the modernization of the existing buildings to accommodate the conventional practices. There's no anticipated impact to the agricultural lands as a result of this particular application. In circulation of the application, I did not receive any objections, and any comments that were provided by internal and external stakeholders have been included as conditions on the in the planning report. So given the above, planning staff is recommending that consent application B2/2022 be approved subject to the conditions that outlined in the planning report.
Okay, thank you for that, Dan. The applicant, Mr. Lewis, has registered to speak and is available. Well, Mr. Lewis, would you like to comment?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening, everyone. I think Dan gave a good synopsis there. I don't know if anybody has any questions of clarification.
I'll just check. Are there any other members of the public that you're aware of? Allow us to check the hand feature there.
No.
No one else. Okay, in that case, let's move to council. Are there questions of the applicant? Yes, Councillor Cates.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I just have a curious question with the green and the yellow box, but then I looked at some other drawings. In the end, is the red line going to just be a straight line, or is it still going to have a little zigzag in it?
Yeah, thank you for the question. There is going to be a minor zigzag in it. So effectively, in general practical terms, that green rectangle would go down to the road line.
Oh,
Is
okay.
effectively what it is. Yeah, and
Okay.
the whole intent of this again is to build 2 new poultry barns, and we're trying to keep them as close to the existing building site as we can. But again, we crossed the boundary, so that's why we're hoping to adjust boundaries. I guess it's important because if we can't adjust the boundaries, we're pushing out to the east further, and you're just using up good arable land that should be cropped, rather than trying to stay as close as we can to the building site. So.
Thank
That's
you.
the
I was
intent.
just curious.
Yeah, no, I know it's a little confusing with the greens and the yellows and gives and takes. But
Thanks.
thank you.
Well, I must say, I don't think I've seen one of these before. This is what's great about it. Always something new. They're very practical. Anybody else? Any other questions? I don't see any hands. So we do have a motion before us, and that is that consent application B2 2022 filed by Brian and Fred Lewis on behalf of Franz Livestock Inc. in order to sever and convey as a lot addition a 1.42 hectare portion of land from 13562 15 Mile Road and add it to 13430 15 Mile Road, and to sever and convey as a lot addition a 0.375 hectare portion of land from 13430 15 Mile Road to be merged with the abutting land owned municipally as 13562 15 Mile Road from properties legally described as part lot of 24 concession 15 south and part lot of 23 and 24 concession 15 south in the county of Middlesex, municipality of Middlesex Centre, be granted. And that the application for consent be subject to 8 conditions that we saw in the report. And further, that the reasons for approving the consent application include that the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement, the proposal conforms to the County of Middlesex official plan and the Middlesex Centre official plan, and subject to the conditions, the proposal would comply with the Middlesex Centre comprehensive zoning bylaw. Do I see a mover, please? And a seconder. Councillor Heffernan and Deputy Mayor Brennan, is anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Good luck with the building.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
All righty. Now we can move on to item 11. And there are 2 notices of motion to be considered at the next meeting. I'll look to Councillor Scott to introduce and speak to this motion if you'd like.
Speak to it, this one. It's
Oh, no.
just being introduced for the next meeting.
He doesn't have to read them?
No.
Okay, so, but we, Councillor Scott will introduce it, and then we do need a seconder. So motion and seconder, please.
At the next meeting. So we are just receiving notice.
For consideration.
For consideration
Right.
at the April 6th meeting.
Okay, but we don't need anyone to move this now?
Not at this time. Not
Oh,
at
okay,
this
so
time.
they're just there.
They're just there so that
Okay,
everyone is
no.
informed.
I thought we had to say we're going to see them. Sorry, I messed up there. So notices of motion are noted. Moving on to correspondence. We have a motion that the correspondence items 12.1 through 12.9 listed on the March 16th, 2022 council agenda be received for information. Is there a mover for those, please, and a seconder? Councillor Cates and Councillor Heffernan. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, then the correspondence is received. I will look now to the Deputy Mayor for any news from County Council that he'd like to share.
Yeah, we met on March the 8th, first of all, at 10 o'clock in the morning for a budget meeting. The budget came in at a 0% tax levy increase with 3.7 million coming from the tax stabilization fund. And there was a 2.68 surplus from 2021. The budget committee for the county met 5 times over the course of coming up with the budget. So it is, for all intents and purposes, a good news budget, as there's no levy increase. And if anybody really wants to get in and has some real in-depth questions about the budget, Mayor DeVete was on that committee, and I'm sure she has much more inside information. If anyone would like to ask her any questions, feel free to go ahead at this time. Seeing none, we'll let her off the hook this time. The afternoon was very short. Wasn't much going on, general business really. The Rural Education Task Force was pushing for us to adopt a report that was in line with keeping 2 representatives on the school board for representing Middlesex County in order to keep it balanced between the county and the city. I know Minister of Labor, Marty McNaughton, supported that also. And I'm asked Mayor DeVete, I haven't heard of if they've agreed to do that or if they looked at changing it. Have you heard?
Nothing has happened yet. There's a number of area politicians and residents and so forth who are involved in meeting to exert pressure on the board to maintain the status quo.
Yeah. Thank you. Just a side note, Thursday, June 23rd is going to be the Warden's Golf Tournament. And we really haven't said what golf course yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be out by Dorchester since Mayor Allison Warwick is the warden this year. So we'll look forward to that. Hopefully with the restrictions gone from COVID, it can be an in-person event and be widely received. Other than that, that's about it. A fairly short meeting in the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brennan. Is there any other business? I don't see any hands. We can move to bylaws then. The motion before us is that the bylaws 2022 number 26 through 2022 number 31 listed on the March 16th, 2022 council agenda meeting be adopted as printed. Could I have a mover please and a seconder? Councillor Shipley and Councillor Case. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, then that is carried. And now I'll look for someone to move and second the adjournment motion that the Council for Municipality of Middlesex Centre adjourns our 16th of March 2022 council meeting at 7:23 p.m. I have Councillor Heffernan and Councillor Scott. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, then this meeting stands adjourned.